Welcome to Witches in Yoga Pants, your cozy corner of the cosmos where modern magic meets everyday life. We're here to explore magic, mindfulness, and personal growth with a grounded, no-fluff vibe. Whether you're into moon rituals, tarot spreads, or just trying to survive Mercury retrograde, you are in the right place. So get ready to disrupt some old patterns, explore what it means to reclaim your power, and remember who you really are. So pull up your yoga mat, light a candle, and let's get into it. Welcome back to Witches in Yoga Pants. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into something that sits right at the core of transformation, creation, and healing: belief. The stories we tell ourselves, the quiet scripts that run beneath the surface, the spells we cast, often without even realizing it, with every thought we repeat and every truth we decide to hold. Today, we explore how our beliefs aren't just ideas, they are energetic codes. They shape what we see, how we feel, and what becomes possible for us. Let's start with something simple but powerful. No one comes into this world with a fully formed belief system. We learn what to believe. From the moment we arrive, we begin absorbing stories from our families, our culture, our teachers, stories about who we are and about what's possible. We learn what's right, what's real, and for most of us, those stories become invisible laws. Beliefs are like the operating system of your subconscious mind. They run quietly in the background, directing your behavior, your reactions, your sense of worth, and your perception of the world, often without you even realizing it. When you hold a belief, whether it's empowering or limiting, your brain works to confirm it. That's what scientists call the confirmation bias. If you believe you're not good enough, your subconscious filters the world to find evidence that supports that. If you believe that life supports you, your brain and your energy field start noticing the tiny moments that reinforce that truth. That's why awareness is the first step to transformation. You can't shift what you can't see. The process of awakening or deconditioning isn't about finding new truths, but noticing which old ones no longer feel true. It's the moment we begin to realize that what we call reality is filtered through our personal lens. It's a mix of memories, beliefs, and emotional patterns that shape how we interpret everything around us. Two people can live through the exact same experience and walk away with completely different stories about what happened. One may see rejection, the other could see redirection. One feels failure, another feels freedom. The science behind this is how our brains are wired to filter billions of bits of information every second, keeping only what matches our existing beliefs and expectations. Our subconscious acts as a gatekeeper, allowing in what feels familiar and discarding what doesn't fit the current narrative. From a quantum perspective, this means that what we perceive as the world isn't entirely objective. It is a co creation between external circumstances and our internal state of awareness. Our beliefs don't just influence our perception, they filter our experience. They decide what we notice, what we miss, and what we believe we deserve. Awakening, then, is the gentle practice of noticing those filters, questioning whether they still serve us, and slowly opening to the possibility that reality can look different when we do. Once you realize how filtered your version of reality really is, it becomes natural to start asking questions. Who taught me this? Why do I believe it? And does it still feel true for the person I've become? Sometimes self-love looks less like affirmations and more like letting go of old beliefs, choosing new stories that finally fit who you are. Science shows us that this kind of questioning is physiological. Every time you interrupt an old pattern and choose a new thought, your brain begins to rewire itself through a process called neuroplasticity. The word sounds complex, but it simply means your mind is capable of change no matter how long you've believed something. Neural pathways are like well-worn trails, and each time you think or feel something, your brain fires the same pattern of neurons. But when you start to choose differently, to think a new thought or take a new action or even imagine a new possibility, you begin to carve a new trail. And the more you repeat it, the stronger it gets. Every time you catch yourself believing something old, like I'm not good with money, or love never lasts, or it's too late to start over, you create an opportunity to lay new wiring. It's not just about changing your mind, you are actually reshaping the structure of your brain. Over time, that old trail will fade away and the new one becomes the default. It's not just happening in your head, beliefs live in your body too. They show up in how we breathe, how we move, and how tightly we hold ourselves together. The nervous system responds to the signals it receives. So, when your inner dialogue tells you you're unsafe, unworthy, or behind, your body will tense to match that vibration. Muscles contract, breath shallows, cortisol rises. But when you begin to believe something new, even softly, even tentatively, your body begins to shift. Your heart rate will slow, your muscles relax, and your breath finds its rhythm again. You'll start to feel a sense of grounded ease, not because your external world has changed yet, but because your inner chemistry has. And that's how you know a new belief is taking root. Your body starts believing it too. From an energetic and quantum perspective, that internal shift is like tuning into a new frequency on a radio. You've always been surrounded by infinite possibilities, different stations of potential, but your beliefs determine which one you can hear clearly. When your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy come into coherence, you begin to perceive a different version of reality. Your attention is creative energy. The moment you start to see yourself as capable, worthy, and supported, you begin to align with experiences that mirror that truth. The world doesn't have to rearrange itself. It's your awareness that shifts. Suddenly, you notice what's always been there. A conversation will open a door, an idea that lands out of nowhere. Reality mirrors your inner state through resonance. Your beliefs act like tuning forks. The clearer and more coherent they become, the more the world responds in kind. This is why healing your beliefs is more than just self improvement, it's an energetic alignment. When your inner world changes, your outer world begins to reflect it because you finally meet life on the same frequency as your truth. Sometimes the most radical act of self love is daring to rewrite your story. We grow up thinking change comes from doing more, trying harder, fixing, achieving, but transformation often begins with subtraction, with noticing what no longer fits and allowing it to fall away. When we release an old belief, we create space for something new to emerge. That can be uncomfortable because the mind equates familiarity with safety. Even painful beliefs can feel safer than the unknown. That's why rewriting your story takes courage. And thinking differently isn't enough. You need to allow yourself to feel differently as well. To bravely imagine a version of your life that doesn't match your old reference points, but choosing to trust a new possibility before you have proof. The nervous system doesn't always like that. When you challenge a long held belief, your body can respond with resistance. It kind of feels like anxiety, doubt, even fatigue, because it's trying to recalibrate to a new vibration. That's why it's so important to move slowly, to nurture yourself as you reprogram what's been wired in for years. You can't bully yourself into healing. You can only meet yourself with compassion until the new story starts to feel safe. Belief work is all about integrating your truth so deeply that your mind and body finally agree on what's real. You start to see that rewriting that belief doesn't change who you are, but it does help you remember who you've always been underneath all the conditioning. When you begin to live from that space, you'll stop chasing validation, over explaining yourself. You stop needing to be understood by people who are still living inside their own old stories. Your sense of worth no longer comes from agreement. It comes from alignment. And that's when self love shifts from being an idea to being an energetic state. You'll start to embody healing. You start walking through the world as someone who knows their worth, not just because you said it in the mirror this morning, but because every cell in your body recognizes it as truth. And from that frequency, with that coherence between mind, body, and energy, your life starts to rearrange itself around you. Not because you're manifesting harder, but because you're finally resonating with what's already yours. So, how do you change a belief? How do you shift a story when it's one that's lived inside of you for so long? First comes recognition. You bring the unconscious to light. Notice where you feel resistance, where you hear that inner critic, where you shrink back or say, it's just the way it is. That is the voice of a belief that's ready to be rewritten. Second, you witness it without judgment, because shame keeps beliefs stuck and compassion will dissolve them. When you can look at a belief without labeling it as wrong or broken, it begins to soften. Awareness held with kindness is what opens the space for real change. You can't heal what you still feel ashamed of, but you can love it into transformation. And then third, choose again. Don't worry if you don't believe the new story all at once. Just start feeding it small doses of energy. You speak it into being. You start showing up in small ways that align with the new story, even before it feels completely real. You let your body practice what your mind is still learning to believe. That's how a belief shifts from concept to reality. Energy first, matter second. Here's a simple way you can work with this. Start by identifying one belief that feels limiting or heavy. Something that keeps showing up. Maybe it's around your worth. Maybe it's your health or your relationship or even your creative expression. Whatever it is, write it down. Then underneath that, write, where did I learn this? And then follow that thread. Was it from family, culture, from experience? Next, ask, what has this belief been trying to protect me from? Because even limiting beliefs begin as protection. They're the mind's way of creating safety. Now, once you identify that, thank that belief. Yeah, actually thank it. Its job is done. It kept you safe when you needed it. Then, write a new belief to take its place. One that feels expansive but believable. You don't have to jump from I'm broken to I'm perfect. You can start with something like I'm learning to trust my own voice or I'm open to receiving support. Belief changes through repetition and emotion, not logic. So every time the old thought resurfaces, gently replace it with a new one. Over time, your energy starts to align with that new vibration and your external world begins to mirror it. That's the power of belief as a spell. It's a conscious act of coding your reality with intention and awareness. Beliefs are the stories that shape our perception of the world. And when we remember that we are the storytellers, not just the characters, everything changes. You don't have to fight your old beliefs. You simply have to see them, honor them, and choose a new frequency. That's the true magic of this work. We don't need to bypass what's real. We can transform it through awareness and choice. You're the spell, your belief is the wand, and your awareness is the alchemy that turns possibility into form. Until next time, remember what's true for you, believe in the story you're choosing, and trust the magic that unfolds when you do. Take what you've heard today even further by joining my newsletter community. Each week, you'll receive journal prompts and reflections connected to the episode that are designed to guide you in bringing these conversations off the podcast and into your own journey. Let's keep going deeper together. The link is waiting for you below.